Could an insurance policy on a home be canceled if the home is vacant or unoccupied? Say, for example, a probate property or an inherited property? How could you avoid that policy from being canceled? What are the extra costs to insure a home that is vacant or unoccupied? We'll answer these questions in just a moment, right after this. So, can an insurance policy be canceled on a home if it's vacant or unoccupied? The correct answer is you'd have to read the policy to know for sure, but a lot of insurers have a stipulation in the insurance policy that if it is vacant or unoccupied for more than 30 days, that the insurance is void. Basically, that they can deny a claim. The reason being is that insurance companies don't want to take unwanted risk. When they insure a home, they are assuming that somebody is going to live in that home. So basically, insurance is a gamble. They're gambling that they're going to collect money and not pay out, and you're gambling that if something happens, you're going to be covered. Well, if your insurance policy doesn't cover a home that's been vacant for more than 30 days or unoccupied, then there's a good chance that the claim will be denied and the policy could be canceled. So you definitely want to get out the policy and check it out, or call your insurance agent and have a conversation with them to find out exactly where you stand. So what is the difference between an unoccupied home and a vacant home? A vacant home is considered a home that doesn't have enough furnishings for someone to live in comfortably, meaning sofa, a bed, appliances, things to cook with, things to eat on. So if the house looks like it's unlived in because there's not enough furnishings, then that would be considered a vacant home. And more often than not, that will get your homeowner's insurance policy canceled if they find out. And at least they'll deny a claim, so why pay for the insurance if they're going to turn around and deny the claim? So what you want to do is call your insurance company and find out how much they would charge to do an add-on for a vacant or unoccupied home. Say, for example, someone has passed away and the house is going to go on the market. A lot of times you can do an addendum or an add-on for a lot less money if you just want to insure it for, say, 3 months or 6 months or something like that, just to cover the time period that it's going to take you to get the house sold. The other choice would be to get it insured by another company. It's always a good idea to get multiple bids, but if you have a relationship with one company, it's a good idea to go ahead and go with them. They're probably going to be more favorable to you than to a new client coming in, but that's not always the case. So it's always a good idea to get at least 2 bids, and I usually get 3 bids on just about any job that I'm going to get done. So you get an idea of what's fair market value. So what could you expect the cost to be on a probation home or probate home or a house that is going through an inheritance and it's unoccupied or even vacant for the time being until it's sold? Well, generally you could figure that it's going to be 50% to 100% more. But if you think about it, not in a percentage but in a dollar amount, you're probably looking at, say, the national average is $1,000 a month for homeowners insurance per month. So you could be looking at maybe $2,000 a month, but in the short term that you're going to have the house until it sells, that's not a bad investment, considering that if the house catches fire, if a pipe burst, or if the roof leaks, or if a number of other things happen that could cause very serious damage. For example, here in Florida, if the AC were to conk out and nobody's in the house and nobody knows the AC conks out, then our humidity is pretty rough during the summertime and mold could grow. And you could wind up getting a big bill for mold remediation, which could be $10,000. So, if it catches fire, even worse. And if there's nobody in the house, that makes it a bigger risk. And that's why insurance companies really don't want to insure it unless they are getting paid extra to insure it, because there's nobody in the house to see a roof leak and spot it early on. Or if a pipe burst, that pipe could be burst for a couple of days or a couple of weeks before anybody notices that. And that means more damage, and that means more coverage needed by the insurance company, and they will deny it because that's not what they signed up for. They signed up for a house that is lived in and that somebody is going to spot things and they're going to get things taken care of right away. So even if it's a tenant occupied home, it's still somebody there that's going to spot problems and report them, rather than an unoccupied or vacant home that's going to sit there and could have a problem just get worse and worse and worse until it's just a really, really big problem and a very expensive problem. And the insurance company is going to say, nope, we're not going to insure that. So you want to make sure that you're insured properly. And especially since it's probably just going to be for a short time, it's a good deal to be insured so that you don't lose the house to a fire or something, very catastrophic. Another thing to mention is to keep the outside maintained. If the home is not in an area, an HOA, the HOA is going to notice that if things are not being taken care of. But a non-HOA home is, if the grass isn't being cut or other things that are real obvious on the outside that nobody's living there, then it becomes a target for break-ins. And somebody might break in to steal stuff, but they might break in just to be malicious and cause damage, or just to live there for a while for free. So you really don't want that, obviously, and it'd be a good idea to make sure that somebody's going by, make sure that the neighbors know what's going on. If a relative owned the house and they passed away, make sure the neighbors know, and maybe even give a key to a trusted neighbor that the loved one had mentioned, or find out if there's a trusted neighbor that knew your family member well, and see if they'll check in on the house and make sure that everything is okay. Here in South Florida, we have a lot of companies that do home management. So that's what a lot of snowbirds down here do, is they have a company that comes in once a week and they check the house. And I can recommend several that could help you with that, just even for a short time, just to make sure that everything's okay, like the AC not dying on you and causing mold in the house. That's a big problem here in South Florida, especially as we come into the summer months. Well, I hope I haven't scared you, but I hope that I have made you realize that it could be very risky to not do anything and just assume that the insurance policy is in full effect and would cover any problems that occur. The best thing you can do is call the insurance agent and have them go over the policy and let you know whether the house is covered, if it's unoccupied or vacant. So hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative, and tune in to next week. Please do me a favor if you would and subscribe down below. That does not mean that I'm going to stalk you or hunt you down in any way, but what it means is it tells Google, which owns YouTube, that you like this video, and it will share this video with other people. If you want to see other videos, then you could hit the bell, the notify button down below, and that would prompt you with an email that another video has been uploaded each week.